Understanding cash flow statement, your end of chapter questions. First question, the three major classification of activities in a cash flow statement are classification, inflows, outflows and net flows. There is no such classification. Yes, operating, investing and financing. That's true. B is the right answer. Straightforward question. The sale of a building for cash would be classified as what type of activity on the cash flow statement? Sale of a building. It is not operating. We don't sell buildings unless we are property developers. It is not financing. We're not talking about issue of shares or debt. It is an investing inflow. B. B it is. Under which section of a manufacturing company's cash flows are the following activities reported? Purchase of securities held for trading. We clearly discussed this during our overview. It's an operating inflow or outflow. Since it's a purchase, it's an operating outflow. Sale of securities considered cash equivalent. You held certain securities as cash equivalents. So buying, selling such security is also a part of operating activities. It's not investing. So both of these items represent operating activities. That makes B to be the correct option. Now, which of the following is an example of financing activity on the cash flow statement under the US GAAP? Payment of interest. Under the US GAAP, remember, payment of interest paid is considered as an operating activity. Receipt of dividend received, it's an operating activity. Question said, which of the following is an example of financing activity on the cash flow statement under the US GAAP? Dividend paid is considered as a financing activity under the US GAAP. It has been tested in many questions in your QBank 2020 as well as here EOC. I think we have more couple of questions on this as well. So that makes C to be the correct option. Payment of dividends under the US GAAP, it is considered as a financing outflow. A conversion of face value 1 million convertible bonds for 1 million of common stock would be most likely considered as what? We have converted bonds into stocks. It does not result in any cash inflow or outflow. 1 million as an investing inflow or outflow, no. 1 million as a financing inflow. There has been no cash inflow or outflow. Just 1 million convertible bonds have been converted into 1 million common stock. It is reported as a supplementary information on the cash flow statement. We cannot show this within the body of cash flow. This is basically a non-cash transaction. It cannot be reported within cash flow statement, so it will be given in supplementary information. That is the right option, C. A company recently engaged in a non-cash transaction that significantly affected its property, plant and equipment. A non-cash transaction, perhaps you might have issued bonds as a consideration to acquire some property, plant and equipment. It's a non-cash transaction. You incurred a liability, a long-term liability, in exchange of acquiring property, plant and equipment. It did not result in any cash inflow outflow. The transaction is reported under investing section of the cash flow statement, cannot be reported. There is no cash inflow outflow. Reported differently in cash flow from operations under the direct or indirect method, wrong. It's neither reported in direct or indirect. Moreover, it's an investing inflow outflow if it was. There is no cash involved, so it needs to be disclosed as a separate note or in supplementary schedule to the cash flow statement describing the nature of the transaction and the amount involved. C. Interest paid is classified as an operating cash flow under what? Here we have the table for you. Interest paid, this one. Interest paid, it is considered as an operating cash flow under the US GAAP. Under IFRS, it could be considered either as a financing or as an operating one. So interest paid is classified as an operating cash flow under the US GAAP, but it may be classified as either operating or financing cash flows under the IFRS. That makes C to be the correct option. Cash flows from taxes on the income statement must be separately disclosed under what? Cash flows from taxes on income, they must be reported separately under both IFRS and the US GAAP. Under both regimes, they have to be reported separately. C. Which of the following components of cash flow statement may be prepared under the indirect method under both IFRS and US GAAP? First of all, I told you that there are three segments of cash flows: cash flow from operations, cash flow from investment, and cash flow from financing. It is just the cash flow from operations that can either be reported under direct method or indirect. Cash flow from investing, it is direct, gross cash receipts and payments. Cash flow from financing, it is direct. They are both direct. It is only the operating cash flow that can either be reported under direct method or indirect method. Otherwise, cash flow from investing and financing, they are direct method. Gross cash receipts and payments under financing as well as investing activities. So it said, which of these could be reported under both method? Only operating. Investing and financing, they are both direct basically. That makes A to be the correct option. Which of the following is most likely to appear in the operating section of a cash flow statement under the indirect method? Operating section under the indirect method. Indirect method starts with net income, non-cash charges, working capital adjustments, and we get your cash flow from operations. So net income is used in indirect method. Cash paid to suppliers, it is used in direct method. Cash received from customers, it is used in direct method. So the correct option is A. A benefit of using direct method rather than the indirect method is when reporting operating cash flows is that the direct method, what's the benefit of direct method? It mirrors a forecasting approach. Wrong. Indirect method is based upon accrual income. Indirect method mirrors forecasting approach because we use accrual based income in indirect method. Indirect method is easier and less costly. A is pointing us towards indirect. Indirect method is easier and less costly. Take simply balance sheet and trial balances and you can do everything. What is the benefit of direct method? It provides specific information on sources of operating cash flows. Cash received from customers, cash received by selling held for trading securities, interest received, dividends received, cash paid to suppliers, cash paid to employees, expenses paid, cash paid for acquisition of held for trading securities. So direct method provides more specific information about different sources of operating inflows and operating outflow. That's the correct option. C. Now we are talking. Mabel Corporation reported account receivables 66 million at the end of its second fiscal quarter. MC had revenue of 72 million for its third fiscal quarter and reported account receivable 55 million at the end of the third fiscal quarter. We have been given the opening receivables. We have been given the sales. We have been given the closing balance of receivables. All you need to do, I'm going to use conventional accounting approach because I am professional accountant. I love my approach. I will simply draw a sales ledger control account and I'm going to write the format. Please note this down. This will help a long way. You can find the unknown numbers. Opening balance, closing balance, any revenue or sales is debited. Any refund made to the customers is debited. This is the maximum, contains maximum items that you can incorporate to find the unknown numbers. Sales, refunds, any check dishonored, any interest charge on overdue accounts, very unlikely you will be tested on this. received from our customers, cash or checks, any bad debt written off, actual bad debt, not the allowance, actual bad debt written off, any sales returns, any discount allowed. Very unlikely you will be tested on this. Since I'm an accountant, so this is what I would do. Discount allowed, any set off or contra. This is the maximum you will see in a sale ledger control account debit credit. Since we just have been given the opening balance of account receivable 66, we have been given the sales 72, Maafi refund, Maafi check dishonored, Maafi interest on overdue accounts, no bad debt written off, no sales return, no discount allowed, no set off, closing balance is given 55 million. Just balance these accounts off, add 66 and 72, and from this deduct 55. What you get is the cash collected from customers, that is $83 million. That gives you C to be the correct option. If you just want to use the smart approach, you may, if you want to calculate the cash received from customers, simply take in your sales, which is given as 72 million, it's an inflow, and then the same approach, increase and decrease in receivables, you can do it in a single step. But this is, you need it somewhere in your life. So you can use this approach as takes revenue, 72 million, and whatever the increase and decrease over the period, add or less accordingly. We discuss this in our theory. So that makes C to be the correct option, and C it is. Next. When computing net cash flow from operating activities using the indirect method, an addition to the net income is most likely to occur when there is what? A gain on sale of an asset. We discussed in the format it is deducted. Gain on sale of an asset is deducted, and the full gross amount we receive for disposal is added in the, or is shown as a cash flow for investing activities. Decrease in deferred tax liability is an outflow. It is deducted from net income. Gain on sale of asset is deducted. That only leaves loss on retirement of debt. What is a loss on retirement of debt or bond? A bond is said to be retired early. You may have to pay more amount than the carrying amount of the bond. This surplus amount you paid will be recorded as a loss, but you may ask me, so we have actually paid it. Yes, you have actually paid it. You have paid $10 million for a bond that had a book value of $9 million. You paid this $10 million. Yes, you have. This $1 million loss, this loss is added in operating, and the full 10 million, it is reported as an outflow in cash flow from financing activities. You can't say it's a non-cash loss. It's a loss, but this loss, and it has been paid in cash. This loss, 1 million, is added back in the net income. The full amount is deducted as cash flow from financing activities. Because if you do not treat this here, you show this 10 million outflow in your financing activities, it will be double counting, just like gain on disposal. Gain has to be added back, gain has to be deducted, and the full gross amount is to be shown as an inflow in investing activities. Same thing, this loss needs to be added back, and the full amount needs to be shown as a cash flow from financing activities. So this is something that we will have to add here, and the full amount we paid will be shown as an outflow in the cash flow from financing activities. So that makes B to be the correct option. Next, Red Dot Company, a consulting company, reported total revenues of 100 million, okay, total expenses of 80 million, a net income of 20 million in the most recent year. If the account receivable is increased by 10 million, how much cash did the company receive from customers? The conventional approach, rather than this drawing the account, that was just an added gyan for you people. You will use your conventional approach. You will take in what we did. Revenue has a positive impact upon our cash flows. We'll take revenue as positive. What has happened over the period? Our gross receivables increased over the period. When the gross receivables increased, yet they didn't pay, which means it's an outflow. Had there been a decrease in receivables, it means they have paid us, we would have added. So 100 minus 10 gives you 90 million, and that gives you A to be the correct option. In 2018, a company using US GAAP made cash payment of 6 million for salaries, 2 million for interest, 4 million for income taxes. Additional information for the company is provided below. What do we need? Based only on this information given, the company's operating cash flow. Since we do not have net income, we can't start with the net income and add back depreciation. There is no net income, there is no depreciation. We have to use the direct method. Under the direct method, what we do, we need to see the cash collected from customers. For this, we should start from revenue for 2018. This is the revenue, 37 million. Revenue is positive. Let us see what has been the change in account receivable over the period. Account receivables have fallen over the period from 22 to 19. This is good. Their fall means they have paid us. So 37 plus 30 gives 40 million. This is the cash received from our customers. Then cost of goods sold. Take it as a negative. Cost of goods sold is negative. It's an outflow. It's an expense. We need to adjust this for two things: accounts payable and inventory. Look at this. Inventory 36 and it goes up to 40. Increase in inventory from 36 to 40. Increase in inventory. Your mind should process this information. Increase in inventory. Increase in inventory. What? Inventory increased. It's cash being invested in inventory. It's an outflow. 36 to 40 is negative 4. It must be deducted. Accounts payable. They were 14 at the start, 14 million, and now they are 12. They have fallen. Accounts payable have fallen. Your mind should process this information. Accounts payable have fallen. We have paid them. 2 million deducted negative. So it's going to be negative 16, negative 4, and negative 2 is going to be negative 22. This is the amount paid to our suppliers. Now we can calculate our operating cash flows. Direct method. Cash received from customers. Cash paid to suppliers, cash paid for salaries, cash paid for interest, cash paid as taxes. If you do this all, 40 positive, less 22, less 6, and less 4, it should get you a net cash of 6 million. This is the cash generated from operation. That makes A to be the correct option. Next. Green Glory Corporation, a garden supply wholesaler, reported cost of goods sold 80 million. Total assets increased 55 million, including an increase of 5 million for inventory. Total liabilities increased by 45 million, including an increase of 2 million for accounts payable. The cash paid by the company to its suppliers. Cash paid to suppliers starts with the CGS, and CGS is 80, and take it as a negative because it's a cost, must be negative. What happened over the period? Including an increase in inventory. Increase in inventory, your cash is being piled up in the form of inventory. It's an outflow. Negative 5. 2 million increase in accounts payable. Increase in accounts payable. We haven't paid them. We have withheld their payment. Holding on to the payments to accounts payable represents an inflow, plus 2. Increase in accounts payable is an inflow. So if you add this up all, negative 80, negative 5, negative 85, plus 2, negative 83 million, and it's given right here as C. Next. Purple Fleur SA, a retailer of floral products, reported a CGS of 75 million. Total assets increased by 55 million. Inventory declined, inflow. Plus, total liabilities increased by 45 million and accounts payable increased by 2 million, inflow. Account payable increase is good for you. So starting off with CGS, which has to be negative. Inventory declined, sold off, cash, inflow, plus. Increase in liability, you delayed the payment, you withheld the payment, add 2. So negative 75 plus 6 plus 2 gives you negative 67. That is A. Right? Next. White Flag, a wooden clothing manufacturer, reported salaries expense of 20. Straight away, right? Negative 20. Expense, negative 20. The beginning balance of salary payable was 3 million. and the ending balance of salary payable was 1 million. Your liability, salary payable, has fallen. Your salary payable has fallen by 2, representing it's an outflow. Payable was 3. At the end of the year, it was 1. You would have paid 2 million. This effectively is an outflow. So combining these two gives you a total of negative 22 million. That is C. Next, an analyst gathered the following information from a company's 2018 financial statements. Net sales for 2018 we need, cost of goods sold, account receivables, inventory, and accounts payable. Based only on this information above, the company's 2018 statement of cash flows in the direct format would include amount in millions for cash received from customers and cash paid to suppliers respectively. Now let us do it one by one, starting first with customers. This is our starting point. Net sales. Over the period, your account receivables have decreased by what? 73.2 less 68.3. It is 4.9. So decrease in account receivables by 4.9 million. Good for us. They would have paid us. Decrease in account receivable is good for us. It's an inflow. So what you're going to do, you're going to add 254.6 plus 4.9. The total will give you 259.5. B or C could. So for cash paid to supplier, you need to take your CGS for 2018. Look at this. Your inventory has gone up by 8.8. This increase in an inventory is your cash is being tied up in working capital. It's an outflow, negative 8.8. Accounts payable, they increased by 2.6 million over the period. You withheld their payment. Effectively, it's an inflow. So it's negative 175.9 CGS for 2018, negative 8.8 and plus 2.6. The net of all these will give you 182.1. That makes C to be the correct option. Next, Golden Cumulus Corporation, a commodities trading company, reported interest expense of 19 million. Negative 19 is the interest expense. Expense has to be negative. And taxes 6 million. Interest payable increased by 3 million. Interest payable increased. Good for me. Interest payable increase means it's effectively holding on to the payment to the payable. So it's an inflow plus. Then taxes payable decreased by 4 million. Taxes payable decreased. I would have paid. When you pay, it's an outflow, negative 4. So it says how much cash did the company pay for interest? Negative 19 plus 3, that is negative 16, outflow. And taxes, it's 10 million. So it's going to be 16 million for interest and 10 million for taxes. That makes C to be the correct option. Next, an analyst gathered the following information from the company's 2018 financial statements. We haven't given the retained earnings, account receivables, inventory, accounts payable. What do we need? The company's cash flow from operations was closest to what? All right. Now, we do not have CGS. We do not have revenue. What you will do? Don't try to use the direct method. You cannot. You do not have CGS. You do not have revenue. You have to use indirect method. If you have to use indirect method, where is the net income? You seem to have nothing. It appears you cannot solve it using direct or indirect. What to do? This is the starting point, gentlemen. Retained earning will help you calculate the net income for the period. Please make this format. I will always recommend you the T account. This is what a professional accountant would always do. We are used to it. 25 years in accounting, and this is what we have done all these years. T accounts started. Retained earnings has an opening balance shown on the credit side, closing balance shown here. If there has been any income over the period, it is added to the credit side. If any dividend declared or paid, they are shown here. Now, it says retained earning had an opening balance of 120 millions, closing balance of 145. There might be another way of doing it in statement form, but this is the method I have been using for many years. So this is very difficult for me to change my methodology. I would recommend this will always help. less chance of making mistake. Opening balance of retained earning, closing balance of retained earning. It further says in 2018 the company declared and paid cash dividend of 10 million. This is the dividend here. And reported depreciation expense of 25 million. The company considers dividend paid as a financing activity. That is to be, of course, it's a US GAAP based company. What this will help us, 145 plus 10, 155. This is the total of this count. 155 less 125. This is, gentlemen, is what I need. Net income. We have driven net income from our retained earning. This is our starting point. We start with the net income. That's the indirect method. We add back non-cash charges, that is 25 million of depreciation. Done. Now, let's make some working capital changes. Account receivables over the period have increased by 5 million. Increase in account receivable means it's an investment in working capital, it's an outflow, negative 5 million. Inventory balance has gone up as well by 3 million. Increase in inventory is cash outflow effectively, negative 3. Accounts payable balance has decreased as well from 36 to 29, representing an outflow of negative 7. Now 35 plus 25 gives you 60, less 5, less 3, less 7 gives you a total of 45 million. And that is your right answer. Gentlemen, ladies, this is the question of the day. This is the question of the day. If you can understand this question, you have made full use of the day today. There is a disposal, there is equipment opening balance, closing balance, accumulated depreciation. I will use the conventional old-fashioned approach. I'm an old man. I will use the conventional approach to calculate the loss on disposal and the net book value, all that. Let me give you first a format. Please note this down. I need a blank sheet here. Now, there are two approaches to tackle a question like this. Either you will have an asset based on cost model. You will have two accounts given parallel, the cost of the asset, right? Asset at cost and accumulated depreciation. The second arrangement could be that you will be given assets at net book value. Now, let's say, just assume numbers, just to explain the idea. Let's say you have the opening balance of assets was 100 million, closing was 150. During the period you acquired assets worth, let's say 30, or let's say 180. Now, opening was 100, you acquired assets during the period, additions 80. You should have a closing balance of 180. What happened? 30 million or $30 worth of assets have been disposal. Right? This is one of the ways. Opening balance of assets, cost, additions at cost, closing balance of cost. The difference will represent the disposal at cost. Accumulated depreciation has an opening balance reported on the credit side. Let's say it's 20 million. Opening balance of accumulated depreciation. Closing balance is, let's say, 50 million. Charge for the period, income statement, that is depreciation expense for the period. Let's say it's assumed number. Let's say it's 60 million. Now 20 plus 60 should be 80. Why do we have 50? It means the difference here, let's take a number that is more reasonable. Take it 50. 20 plus 50, 70. 70 less 50, it means the difference between opening balance, depreciation charge and closing balance, it is $20 million. This represents the depreciation on the disposed asset. Now, this is something that you have to see side by side. You have disposed of an asset with the cost of 30 and on which we charge depreciation of 20 million or $20. This is the cost of the asset and this is the depreciation that was charged so far on that particular asset. Right? This is the cost model. You can find the unknown numbers by plugging in the information given. In the net book value method, what we have, the opening balance of cost minus depreciation. 100 minus 20 gives you 80. This is the net book value of the asset given at the start. Closing balance is 150 minus 50. Closing net book value is 150 less 50. 150 less 50. This one is 100. Additions during the year is 80. The asset that was disposed had a cost of 30, accumulated depreciation 20. The difference between these two represents 10. This 10 will be reported here as the disposal of the net book value of the asset. This is the disposal account. And lastly, the depreciation charge for the period was 50. Now, if you see, both sides are agreed. 80, 80, 160 and 100 and this 160 as well. So either you will be using this cost model or this net book value model. Take a snapshot. You just need to plug in the missing numbers and you will find what you need to find. Plug in whatever is given, you will find the missing information. Either you use cost versus accumulated depreciation or asset at net book value. This is a very handy one. Maybe if you didn't like this, but this will help you in finding unknown numbers. Look at this. I'm going to apply the same dynamic in this question. Look at this. I have been given the equipment cost opening, closing. Change is this much. I've been given accumulated debt opening, closing. Change is this much. I have to plug in the numbers. I will use the cost model. Here I have the cost of the asset. Opening value is 100. Brought down. Closing value is 105. This is the accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation opening balance is 40. Closing balance is 46. This is what I get from this table. Now let's read this. Silverago Incorporated, an international metal company, reported a loss on sale of disposal of 2 million. Loss on disposal is given as 2 million. Okay. In addition, the company income statement shows depreciation expense of 8 million. This is the depreciation charge for the period. As per the format, this is the brought down balance of accumulated depreciation. This is the carried on balance of accumulated depreciation. The depreciation expense for the period is 8 million, shown on the credit side of accumulated depreciation account. Right. It further says, and the cash flow statement shows capital expenditure of 10 million. This is the investment in assets, additions. Okay. Using the information from the comparative balance sheet, how much cash did the company receive from the sale of the equipment? Now, gentlemen, look at this. 100 million asset at the start, 10 acquired, 110. If I have just 105 remaining, it means the asset that was disposed had a cost of $5 million. The asset that was disposed had a cost of 5 million. It's a balancing figure. 110 here and it has to be 110 here. So it has to be 5 million. This is the cost of the asset disposed. Okay. If the 40 is the accumulated depreciation opening balance, 8 was the depreciation charge for the year, it's 48. Why it's 46? Because the asset that is being kicked out, its accumulated depreciation was also kicked out. The asset that is disposed, it takes away its cost as well as its share of accumulated depreciation. If the asset is going away, 5 million cost, its related depreciation should also be removed from the books. Now we get the idea. An asset that was disposed had a cost of 5 million. It had an accumulated depreciation related to it 2 million. It had a net book value of $3 million. This asset having a net book value of $3 million is being sold at a loss of 2 million. An asset with a net book value of 3 million is being sold at a loss of 2 million. How much cash you would have received? Now it's in anybody's guess. Absolutely, it's $1 million. And that's your right answer. There you go. See, old conventional approach helps you solve difficult questions like these. Next, Jadrong Plinkett Stores reported net income of 25 million. Okay. The company has no outstanding debt. Using the following information from the comparative balance sheets, what would the company report in the financing section of the statement of cash flow statement? Common stock 100 to 102, change of 2 million. Additional paid in capital called share capital in India and Pakistan is 100 to 140, indicating you received 42 million by issuing shares. 2 million represents the par and 40 represents the premium. 42 million has been received by issuing shares. What else? Retained earning has jumped from 100 to 115, indicating 15 change, and stockholders' equity as a result 300 of total of all these 357. This is the net change in equity. What are we required to find? We know for sure that the stock issuance has brought in 42 million. If you just want to guess now, you have got 50% chance of getting the right answer. Either it's A or B. Got it? Want to make sure which one is right, you have to find what was paid as dividend. For this, I gave you the format. You draw up your retained earnings account. Retained earning had an opening balance of 100, closing balance of 115, right? What was the income for the period? 25. It is reported as a credit part of your retained earning. Net income is transferred to retained earning by debiting the net income, crediting the retained earning account. Now the difference, 100 plus 25, 125. 125. So the balancing figure here will be 10 million. This is the dividend declared and paid. That makes A to be the correct option. There you go. It is. Based on the following information for Star Incorporated, what are the total net adjustments that the company would make to net income in order to drive operating cash flows? Adjustments to be made in the net income. First, depreciation, non-cash charge to be added to the net income. Account receivables have fallen from 25 to 22, indicating decrease in account receivable. Good for us. It's an inflow. Inventory balance has jumped from 10 million to 14. Bad. It's an outflow. Accounts payable, they have gone up from 8 to 13 million. Good for us. We have withheld their payment, indicating an increase of 5 million. That's an inflow. Adding all these will give you the net adjustment to be made in the net income to arrive at your cash flow from operations. So 2 plus 3, 5, 5 plus 5, 10 less 6, 4, that's 6 positive. That makes add. So you have to add 6 to 20 million in order to arrive at your cash flow from operating activities. B it is. The first step in cash flow statement analysis should be what? Consistency, that requires comparatives for the previous years. Determine operating cash flow drivers, that's behind the cash flow. You don't see it from on the face of it. What we see on the face of the cash flows are major sources and uses of cash. From where did we get the cash and where did we spend it? An overall assessment of major sources and the use of cash should be our first step. Drivers come later. Consistency come later. This is the first step. C is the right answer. Which of the following would be valid conclusion from an analysis of the cash flow statement for Telefonica Group presented in Exhibit 3? As per the Exhibit 3, we'll show you the primary use of cash is financing activity. Primary usage of cash in financing. Let us see. This is all related to your financing activity. Financing activity has a cash outflow of 1.7 million, 4.22 million and 3.612 million. Let's see the investing and operating as well. Now look at this. Operating cash flows are quite significant. Let us see the investing. Investing cash flows are given here. 10.2, 8.2, 12.9. As per the question's option, it said the primary use of cash is financing activities. No, the primary use of cash is investing activities. You see much higher cash outflows for investing rather than financing. So A is the wrong option. Incorrect. The primary source of cash is operating activity. True, all these are negative. Investing and financing are negative in all these years. But look at this. You have sizable inflows from operating activities. Positive, positive, positive. 13.7, 13.3 and 13.65. It's a correct option. Right answer. Why not C? Telefonica classifies dividends paid as an operating activity. Let us see. Where do we find dividend payments? Investing, of course not. Need to see we don't find any cash flow from relating to dividends in operations. It would have been shown if it was IFRS based financial statement. Look at this. This is your financing section. Dividends paid. Look at this. Dividend paid. It's shown explicitly right here as a part of your financing cash flows. Dividend paid. So this is the wrong option. Telefonica classifies dividend paid as an operating activity. No, it's a financing activity. So most certainly it's a US GAAP compliant organization. So that makes B to be the right answer. The following information is extracted from Sweetfall Incorporated financial statements. What do we need? The amount of cash Sweetfall Incorporated paid to suppliers. What you need is CGS. That's the starting point. CGS is an expense, must be negative. Receivables have nothing to do with CGS. Inventory, yes. Inventory has decreased over the period. Decrease in inventory, sold out. Inflow, 501 to be added. Increase in accounts payable. Accounts payable increase. We withheld their payment, representing an inflow. Add it. 1063 to be added. So net of these, negative 27264 plus 501 plus 1063 gives you 25,700, and that's A. A. Which is an appropriate method of preparing common size cash flow statement? A. Show each item of revenue and expenses as a percentage of net revenue. That is income statement. This is common size income statement. Totally incorrect option. Show each line item on the cash flow statement as a percentage of net revenue. Yes, that's one of the alternatives. Show each line item on the cash flow statement as a percentage of total cash outflows. No. Each outflow as a percentage of total cash outflow and each inflow as a percentage of total cash inflow. This is wrong as well. So that makes B to be the correct option. Next, which of the following is an appropriate method of computing free cash flow to the firm? Free cash flow to the firm can be calculated two ways. Either you can take the net income, make adjustment of non-cash charges, take after-tax interest 1 minus tax, and from this deduct fixed capital investments and the investment for working capital. This is one of the ways. Since it didn't start from anywhere from net income, it's starting from operating cash flows. So we have to go for the alternative format. Free cash flow to the firm is equal to cash flow from operations, which is the sum of this, this, and this. Remaining two you need to write, plus interest after tax, and from this deduct your fixed capital investments. Now match with the options. Add operating cash flows to the after-tax interest payments, correct, and deduct the capital expense. Absolutely right. B is the right answer. We have even given it here, right here. B is the right answer. An analyst has calculated a ratio using the numerator of the sum of operating cash flows, interest, and taxes. These three things as a numerator. Remember? Three things as a numerator: operating cash flow CFO plus interest plus taxes as a numerator, and the denominator is the amount of interest expense paid. It's interest coverage right here. This is your cash flow from operations, interest paid and taxes paid, and you divide it with the interest paid. That is your interest coverage in cash terms, and that should be it. The ratio is an interest coverage ratio measuring the company's ability to meet its interest obligation and indicating company solvency as well. So that is A, and that completes your EOCs completely.